Meeting of Sherman County Commissioners come to order, please. Public comments?
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Making sure my mic's working. Huh? Oh, it's covered?
Put it on your other lapel.
This technology. How's that? Better? Okay. All right.
Guess we do checks.
Yep. I looked through all the payment stuff. I didn't see anything that bothered me.
No, I didn't either.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our public comment session is open if somebody wants to.
Mr. House, we're still open for public comment if you need something before we continue with the meeting. And we don't canvass the ballots today. They're already preset for tomorrow.
What time?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yes.
I've got 3 different answers. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bring a quarter just in case.
Silver dollar.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Bryn Quinzer. I was here for the meeting, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Get real close to the mic. I've had several emails of they can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Thank
okay.
you.
When we were here for there was a meeting with the people that do the machines for the election that counts the tabulators. And in that discussion, there was a lot of talk about machines. But whenever the sticks were brought up, we didn't talk about the sticks. And that's the reprogrammable part. That is the brains that goes into the machine that actually helps tabulate to know what to tabulate. And just in that discussion that we were in, I just saw that there was a very adamant attitude that the machines don't have a computer chip in them or any way of possibly changing the votes. But when there was any talk about the sticks, it was never addressed. And so I guess for you guys, I would question, we all know how computers can be hacked into, your identity can be stolen. There's always those leaks. And so I guess I would like to see us kind of go in a direction of the reprogrammable part. We have an entity that is programming our sticks for our elections. Can those not be, can there not be any fraud with that? And so I guess that was what it looked like to me in all of that discussion of the machines. The machines was the wrong word, but the sticks, Ashley calls them the sticks. I don't know what their actual name is for that. Ashley, is there a certain, it just USB sticks, okay. And so once those are connected to a computer to reprogram, that type of thing, if there's any way that could be cause fraud. So that was my take on that, and I just thought I would share it, so.
How did the count come out when you guys hand counted the ballots compared to the machine? Everything's okay? Commissioner's race, everything was spot on. Okay. How many hours did it take you guys to hand count all the ballots?
They started at 9 and left at 5:30 and we weren't there.
Okay, so it's a lengthy process. Okay.
Can I ask the question, were all the votes counted?
We started at 9 that morning and we got through the unaffiliated and the Democratic ballots. By 12:30, they ate lunch. At 1 o'clock, we started the Republican ballots and it started with Ward 1, and at 4:30, they were not done with those yet. So I asked what the big picture was because there has to be 48 hours between the post-election audit and the canvass, and asked if the group was coming back Saturday, if they were staying all night that night, Friday night, or what we were going to do. And they said that they were happy with the results, but the closest race was a commissioner race, so they wanted to do all precincts that pertain to that race, and then they were happy with that.
So were any of the federal races counted?
Yes,
Which ones?
it would have been whatever the first.
So they totally counted all of the federal races and the state races. Which ones were not? Because no one's gonna waste millions of dollars paying the machine to be reprogrammed to count inaccurately on a local race.
Okay, so they did all ballots, all precincts for Democratic and unaffiliated, nonpartisan. Then on the Republican, they did all of them for Ward 1. And then the other precincts, after Ward 1 for Republican, they did the ones that pertain to the commissioner race.
Right, but I'm asking about the federal and stuff.
Yeah, Ward 1. And then all the Democratic and all of the nonpartisan.
Can we get an accurate description of what was counted and what was not counted?
Sure.
Roberta stepped out, but was she the only one present of this group?
Yes.
But she was present for the entire count? Okay.
Motion to pay the bills. The amount of $437,996.28.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Morning, Lisa. We got just a couple minutes left for public comment yet, but. Roberta, we got just a couple minutes left of public comment. Were you happy with the count the other day? The way things went with the hand counting of the ballots?
Regarding the hand counting of the ballots, I think that I need to do some more reading about the process and the rules and the parameters. We were not able to complete the full count. Just as a rough estimate, I would say it might take 3 days to do it in the way we were doing it. And so, do you have a specific, what part of the process are you?
Were you happy with the count compared to what the machine said in essence? I mean, what you did count, was everything okay?
The, most of the races matched what the machine counted. There were the governor's race and the U.S. representative's race were off by one vote that we didn't, one vote that we weren't able to, we didn't have sufficient time to see where the discrepancy was. So, and I don't know, Ashley was going to look at it a little further. I don't know. Did you have time, Ashley, to?
I didn't have time over the weekend, but I had the few that were questionable, and I'm gonna ask if those could be the problem with the vendor, or I don't know. That's the only, or we'll run through like we did that day
Mm-hmm.
and see if, either throw them all back through the machine to see if it comes back out the same, or what the deal is, so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was just curious, because I knew you were present. I wanted to get your take on it. So,
Yeah, so I'd like to look at it a little further. I think there's maybe another couple races that we definitely need to look at, so we'll
okay,
study it and see what we think.
okay. Thank you.
So the question, now that you know there is some questions, you said you would not certify the election unless it was matched. And what are we going to do to eliminate that problem? Because there was a problem, but it seemed like it was just ignored and went on because Ashley could fix it.
You have to identify the problem.
You have to identify the problem, and then we will, because it was, the machine would answer that if there were X number of ballots. They would not agree on one vote. They went back 3 times or so on the one and said, it's got to be a human error. And the factors are in the rules that is allowed for human error.
So are we going to allow the company and one person decide that, or are we going to allow the people who should have been
The
counting?
people voted to agree to that.
Those,
The group of
but did they
6.
know? Do they know all the issues of what's going on? The problem is those 6 people going to decide for the whole people because they gave up because they didn't want to spend 3 days counting?
As I understand it, like the one race that they did not finish counting was with Eric Schmidt, I believe.
But
and
there's
he had-
several that she said that there's
Well,
questions.
I only know of one.
Okay.
And the Tracy Mann one, they did not count them.
I
but
believe the
there was no-
public want to know about all of them.
Yeah, we have to identify all the problems.
Anything
Okay.
else?
Well,
Jaleesa, come on up.
you can.
Yeah, you have to get close to that microphone so they can see who you are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear
Good morning.
me? Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to come and give an update since the summer is kind of winding down and just kind of talk about what we're getting ready to do for the 4th quarter with Sherman County Community Development. It's been a busy summer, but I think it's been a good summer, a good first half of the year. I can't believe it's already August and school's picking up already. So we did do a summer concert series this summer, which was really good. We did the Shindig at the Smoky, a little bit smaller this year just due to weather. I know I was talking with Steve and he was just asking, how many people? And I was like, well, I think we probably only got about 100 just because it was rainy and sleety and it didn't let up this year. Last year it did after the dedication, and I was hoping that was the case, but at 4 p.m. is when the sun decided to come out. So that was wonderful after the whole event. So we will continue to do that next year. I did have a few people in the community ask if we could move it to later in the afternoon, more of an evening, so that more people could attend and maybe do it in the evening. So that's an idea we're kind of throwing around, but just kind of going to see what that looks like. We just finished fair. We're getting ready to do our last summer concert this Friday. We're partnering with the GAC. They're doing their back to school bash for the kids. So there'll be a sand volleyball tournament in the morning for the high school and junior high. And then we're doing a mini Tykes little triathlon for kindergarten through 6th grade. So kind of the last little hoorah before school starts next week. We are doing an event out at the airport to kind of promote one of our highlights we have in our community, which I think a lot of people forget that we have. It's just out there and it's away from the community. So highlighting that. So if you guys want to come out, we'll have a free pancake feed. They'll have some Butterfly Aviation is celebrating 50 years here in the community. So I thought that was really cool. So they sent out a lot of invitations and we're hoping to have a good turnout. We'll have all of our public safety teams out there, fire department, sheriff's department, police department, EMS, and Eagle Med kind of just so people can get familiar with that. We'd rather introduce them to that in a positive note than in a negative note, so they're comfortable and get that there. Then another thing we're working on from our joint housing meeting that we are starting to move forward with our MIH, so the moderate income housing application. That's going to help support our land bank efforts, and so that's going to be ran through SCCD. So we're in that process of seeing what's all entailed in that and getting that game plan together to kind of help with that housing initiative. We're also working on a recruitment incentive right now with another organization that we're a part of, the Northwest Kansas Economic Innovation Center, so EICI through Dane Hansen. That's their kind of business economic development side, and so working with them to kind of create maybe some incentive to help with recruitment for major employers that are having trouble filling positions such as the hospital, school, and stuff like that, things that kind of help our community run and operate, things of that nature. We're continuing on the chamber side, which we're no longer calling chamber, but we're calling the Business Enrichment Network, because we want to enrich the businesses here that are already here, but also help enrich new businesses that are coming into town. And we're going to be holding those fall workshops free to business owners, anyone in the community that wants to come. This year we're kind of focusing on Business 101. So starting back from the very beginnings of understanding what's all involved in creating a business, all the way up into getting your ducks in a row to go meet with a lender to make sure that you have all of your stuff in order to, get the financing you need to have capital and whatnot to move forward. So we're excited about that. I think it's important that even though you've been running a business for 50 years, it's always good to go back and refresh, because there's new things and new ways to go about things. Let's see. Flatlanders is going really well, the planning of that. We've been working with the Car Club and the Arts Center, and we have a new group taking on the bike show this year. So Mona Carver and a group that she's with is going to take that on, and so they've really just been running with it, and we're really excited about them taking that component, because I didn't know if I could do that planning plus kind of coordinating everything. So it was really nice to have them step up, and they're really excited, and hopefully we can get more people in this year. So that'll be really good. What else? Yeah, so things are going good. We're just kind of trying to chip away at little pieces that we can. And so just wanted to come and give you guys an update and kind of what we're working on as far as kind of, if you guys can do some thinking on just any, maybe property or land that might be, that the county owns, that might be able to be used for a land bank opportunity for us that would kind of help jumpstart that. With the MIH, it doesn't go towards purchasing land, it goes towards the infrastructure towards the land. So that would be extending utilities and having that all prepped so that we can potentially have another fund and have another opportunity to go to maybe Dane Hansen or another group to get some funding to help start building those houses. And then once that sells, we would put that back in the pot to continue to build. So just kind of chipping away at that housing issue, because the development's a little bit more expensive. So
Yep.
yeah.
Sounds good.
So any questions? I know it's a lot. I just throw it all into it. Just don't want to take up too much time, but
No, appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's all I have this morning. Just wanted to come and update you guys and make sure there's no questions or need anything from me at the moment.
Oh,
Sounds good.
good.
Appreciate
So
it.
GAC will have theirs at the GAC, the concert then is what, or where?
So we will be having the last concert actually at Stever Park behind the swimming pool. So that's where the back to school bash will be as well. So the sand volleyball court out there. And then the kids will actually be doing the loop around where the pool area is, the topside trail. They'll do that in the morning. And then in the afternoon for the back to school bash, the city pool, it's free admission for anyone who wants to go on Friday. And then they'll be having a community barbecue that night starting at 5:30, and then the concert starts at 6. So yeah, it's kind of our last hoorah before school starts, and schedules really pick up. I don't know if it ever really slows down.
yeah.
I don't have kids, and I don't know if it ever slows down. So, but yeah.
All right.
So.
And
awesome.
what's the dates for Flatlander? Just
It's going to be Friday the 23rd, September 23rd, and Saturday, September 24th.
okay.
Mm-hmm. We're going to try it this year, see where we have all those guests coming into town for the car show. There's really never anything going on except for like a home game, which not everyone's interested in, and I know they have races, but if we can try to keep some of those guests that are coming into our community here investing in our community, spending money in our restaurants and staying in town. We'd like to keep them here. So if we can have something going on for them, we're pretty much moving Sunday's events to Friday night in that sense. So,
Okay.
and I know there's no school that Friday, but there is a football game away. So,
Okay, sounds good.
yeah.
Give it a try.
All right. Awesome. Thank you guys so
That
much. Oh.
picnic on Saturday, is that, will there be a vendor selling meals, or what is the?
At the airport event, or which one on?
At the back to school bash.
It's the free community barbecue. So yeah, it'll be Friday night, and it's just free to the community. I think the city is putting that on, and so that's kind of their appreciation, what they're doing for that. They normally do it in the office, and I think that's what they're wanting to do this year, is partner in that. So,
Very
yeah.
good.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks for coming in. Okay, so now we need to compile a list of all the known.
Sorry, the gal is on hold.
Oh, she is? Okay.
She'll transfer her to you.
Okay. County Commissioners,
Hi, this is Julia Mass with Corbin.
hello. Let me get the volume cranked up here.
Hello.
All right. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay.
Can.
You just fire away whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. Well, so as I mentioned, I'm Julia Mass with Corbis. I'm a director in our Forensics and Litigation Services Division, and as you probably know, this is BKD has merged, and we are now Corbis. So I've been working with BKD in this area for about 18 years, and I work with a colleague, Shauna Woody Cousins, and we became aware of, with the media and some other, identifiers of some situations that you've had in the clerk's office, and I've had a few conversations with Mr. Blake, and I put forth a potential scope of work that Forvis could do in a forensic, basically agreed upon procedures for the general funds and the clerk's office to try to get, to help you get your hands around kind of what happened from a forensics point of view, and look at any other areas in the clerk's office with relating to general funds and payroll and some other areas of control by the clerk that may be of concern. Typically with these things, we suggest that the county start in a phased manner. So, there's no blank check or whatever to consultants, but bit by bit, kind of looking in different areas to see if there's anything else of concern, involved with the payroll or infractions of labor laws, or addressing other rumors that may have come up, that type of thing, to really give you all a sense of peace, hopefully, that if nothing else is found, or kind of open the gate to additional investigation or issues if something is found. And, typically with these things, if there is improprieties that are found, we'll work with you with your insurance agency for a potential claim there to hopefully get some amounts reimbursed. So I've just spit out a ton of information and want to know if I'm hitting what you all need to know, or do you have any questions? I can go through the scope that I have provided, or just answer any questions that you have.
So this scope you're talking about, it's basically a forensic audit of the clerk's office and the general fund. What kind of dollars are we talking for you to do something like that?
let me pull that up. I did have an amount for the procedures that I have provided. I don't want to talk off the cuff. Let me pull this up. And the procedures that I've provided, we can expand them, we can contract them depending on, if the clerk had credit cards, or you all are not interested in credit cards being looked at, that type of thing. But for the phase one that I've provided, we're looking at about $14,000 to $16,000 for that item in that forensic audit scope.
Yeah, basically, it would encompass credit cards and all that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
No, I think
And we're going.
Go ahead.
We're going back a little bit of time just to, we can always make the time a little bit narrower, but we find that there's typically a pattern, and so I've suggested we do 2000, 2001 into June of 2002, so 2.5 years, and that really allows us to find patterns. If we identify something, then we can look around, see if there's any patterns of that activity. Because if there is something going wrong, it typically, there's a pattern. What happened with the CRS funds was kind of a one-off opportunity, and we're seeing, unfortunately, some nefarious activity. You all are not alone with all of these COVID relief funds that came down the pipe, and counties and municipalities and states getting money they don't typically get kind of became a opportunity in some instances. And so you all are not alone with your concerns here.
Steve, you got any questions?
You said you're going to go back to 2020 is probably where you would start, and then work your way up till present time on your audit. Is that correct?
Yes, I had through June of 2020, June 30th, so we could do, obviously we're sitting here now in August, so through July. And if we find issues and we find patterns, then we would work with you to amend the scope when we go back further, because obviously you would want to capture everything if there is any issues that are identified. But for now, we would start with the most recent 2.5 years and go from there.
Okay.
So if you did find a pattern, you want to go further, then you would contact us, and we would talk about the cost for that as well before we went further forward, correct?
Correct. We would have an addendum to our engagement letter. We don't want surprises. You all definitely don't want surprises, and we want to be on the same page when it comes to fees, for sure.
Okay.
So if we work with you, how soon could you get started?
That is a very good question. I think that it usually takes us about 3 or 4 business days to get out an engagement letter, and we would do an engagement letter with the scope attached that says,
Okay.
here's our engagement, we're planning to do this. Once you turn that around to us, I would say that our initial request list would come out pretty quickly thereafter about here are all the things that we want to have. The fee that I've provided really does assume remote work. If you would like us to come on site, there would be travel time and cost on top of that. I think that perhaps for the phase 1, we could pretty much do that remotely, unless you all feel strongly, a different way than that. And so we would send you out a request list, and really then it's up to you all of how long it takes you to provide that information. And then we don't have any huge cases or anything that barring us to just keep marching forward. So, within a week or so of getting that information back in, we would be knee deep in it.
Okay.
I would say let's get the engagement letter and have our attorney look at it and go from there.
we typically have a specific person listed on the engagement letter who will be signing it on behalf of the county. Who do you feel that should be?
That
Sure.
would be Steve Everett, the chairman.
Okay.
We have a person in the audience that has a question for you.
Our sheriff has a question.
As far
Yeah.
as doing a complete and total audit is what the public's wanting. Basically, you said that you could expand and contract. We need to make sure that it's totally public, and this is for the commissioners and you, how to work it out, that if things are found, that it'd be publicly brought out and not done in meetings and then decided just with a summary to the public. But also, to expand, you said you want to know if it's going to cost more. If they need to expand it in a certain area, that needs to be a public decision, not controlled by someone that's being investigated. The information needs to be, someone needs to control it that's not involved in the investigation of trying to steer it away from areas that need to be investigated. So make sure when we make that agreement that it's clear somehow that the people that are investigated can't control where the investigation goes.
Well, I would think the commissioners will be in control of that, and anytime the commissioners have a meeting, it's an open public meeting. Because the chairman would be signing the engagement letter, the lawyer would be looking at it, so it's gonna be open.
So they're gonna call constantly for information and want more information and make agreements of where we go and with this information. So they're gonna wait till each commissioner meeting to make that contact?
No, you can answer this, man, but I think if you ask for information, you're gonna ask for the information you want, and if you don't receive it, then we'll know. But as long as you're getting the information you want. I don't
Julia,
see
do you have any,
Right.
anything?
I can, well, usually we have a point of contact that you all provide us to be able to provide the information. And so we would send that. I can always be sending or CCing Steve or Rod or whoever on it. I would assume that all email activity would be subject to the sunshine laws of the state of Kansas. And, you know, since we are completely independent, you know, we do not be persuaded by you all to not look at this or to look at that. You know, if we find something, you know, our scope says that we will provide, present to management, which is you all, the outcome of our procedures orally or in a bullet point summary. And we don't typically mince words in that process or change what our findings are based off of, you know, it being unfortunate news. And so, I mean, I guess that's the benefit of having a third-party person that's not invested, you know, inside Sherman County being the one doing these types of procedures. So, you know, if we could prevent, you know, when it comes to, you have to talk with your attorney if it becomes an employment issue, if there's employment disciplinary actions or something. I do think that's typically done in closed session. I've been an elected official and outside of Kansas City about a decade ago, and so I know how that goes, that type of thing can be in closed session. But I believe that typically all of our emails are subject to the sunshine laws. I think that's what they're called in Kansas. And as a third party, you know, we don't typically mince words or hold back, I guess, based off of our findings for any reason. Does that help?
Yes, and I would think our chairman, excuse me, as well as our county attorney should be CC'd on everything.
Yes.
Okay, if you can just provide those email addresses to me, I will make sure that I have those in our system and in our case notes. And so, you know, typically I'm going to have a forensic accountant under my supervision. Kind of sometimes will do the emailing back and forth and make sure that she will know that she needs to have that CC. So if we could get that instruction from you in writing through email, that would be the easiest way for us to attach that to the case. and make sure that that is done.
Okay, well, I guess get that letter of engagement coming in, and our attorney can look at it, and if he needs to visit with you or, you know, about something that he feels needs to be in there or not be in there, we'll
Sure.
we'll work with that.
Very good. All right, well, I will start that process today, so you will likely see that engagement letter mid to late week,
Okay.
All right,
based off of how things take at service. All right, very good. Thank you. Good to speak with you today.
all right, thank you,
Thank
Julia.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Okay, so we'll have a letter coming toward the end of the week where we meet next Saturday, or next Monday again.
Yep.
We can have that.
And you'll have time to review the engagement letter? Okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
The one thing that Julie brought up about county land, and I know this was before you were here, but you might check with Charles Mosier and see out there where the old, not Yellow Freight,
Roadway.
Roadway.
The county owns a piece of property there, and somehow they had a lease on it, but they're not using it. And he was gonna find out if we could get possession of that land. I mean, it's just sitting there, and it's of no use right now. And if we could get possession of that, maybe we could do something with it. So,
I didn't realize we still had that property out there.
yeah, I don't think anybody knew it for a long time till it came up on a tax roll of something, but Roadway had like a 20-year lease, but they're not using it anymore. And it's just sitting there, so, I mean, if we could get possession of that again and do something with it.
Need to find out what the time frame on that lease was.
Right, I know. I can't remember, Charles was working on that, and I just don't remember what he came up with on that, so. Seemed like there was a problem, because it was like a perpetual lease or something, and they didn't want to turn loose of it or something. But wouldn't hurt to find out,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, back to the election questions. How many known issues do we have? I mean, identified potential issues.
In Ward 2, or in Ward 1 Republican, there were 2 races that did not match. They were each off by 1.
Okay.
Was the machine short one, or which was long?
Yeah.
People,
The hand
Roberta,
count.
correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys counted 1 more than the machine, right? Yeah.
But you only counted one. You didn't do a recount.
Oh, they counted it like 4 times.
Okay, so that's clearly a machine issue.
Or it's, so like there's 1 ballot, and so there was a governor and then lieutenant governor candidate, and then governor, lieutenant governor. They made their own circle next to the lieutenant governor. So I don't know if
Kick that
that
out.
extra one's kicking that out. Like, we counted it because it's only in that bubble.
Okay. Well,
When we ran it through the machine, it counted it that day. So
Oh.
that didn't, we ran it.
Yeah, that's right.
well, that's what I said. We got to identify the problems. You know.
The other people work
Right.
On certain issues. They counted all the commissioner, the local races. I don't think it was, one was not contested because on the Republican side, Tracy Mann, I think, no one ran against him, so they did not count that one.
Well, I think we just need to decide today what needs to be done. I mean, because ultimately we're going to have to certify the election, but if there's still questions hanging out there, we need to identify them and rectify it.
Well, we'll have to certify the election because of the commissioner race before we can move forward with ballots for the November race. And we know that race was accurate. The rest of the races stays off by 1 vote. It's not going to change anything one way or the other. So,
The ideal is to identify if there's a problem with the machines, which has been identified in other states and other areas. That was the whole idea of the count, if I understand. And there seems to be a problem with the small count that we did. And no one's gonna spend the millions of dollars to have someone change the code for a local race. So the federal races and the state races is where the money's at. That's where I believe the code could be corrupted for a person. I'm not saying they did, I'm saying it's possible. Anytime you have a computer, whoever controls the software controls the computer. Okay? They say they're safe, but the problem was in the small count that they did, they identified some issues. That's the whole ideal behind the problem with the machine. So do you want to just accept it and say, okay, we're going on with it because our races are fine, but the federals are bad? If they shave 10 votes or 1 vote off of every county in the United States, that's a lot of counties. The ideal is to identify if there's a problem with the machine. So that'd be up to you guys.
well, hopefully we can identify the problems we're along.
So we'd have to get the people back to continue counting? Is that what it's gonna take?
I don't know if it needs to be the same people. I need 6 people, yes.
Okay.
But then after that's done, it's 48 hours before you guys do the canvas. So that won't be tomorrow, and that's fine, but I need to know so I can let those 2 candidates know.
So we can't do the canvas unless we're gonna certify the race.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I guess I would like to certify the race and then go try to identify the problem, because there's nothing that's gonna change anything in this state one way or the other by what happens here, but our candidates been sitting, waiting for a week to know who's gonna be county commissioner, and I don't think it's fair to drag that out for weeks. And like I say, what's the time limit on getting your ballots for the November race? When's that gotta be done?
Let me look. I just got that actually, Friday.
So what you're saying is certify the local, or the election, but that way the local stuff has all been resolved.
Yes.
Right.
We move forward, and then we continue to
Try to figure out what the
look at
problem
the
is.
federal and the state.
Yep.
8/15 is the deadline for the state to certify the candidates and the issues to us.
What's that?
8/15 is the deadline for the state to certify candidates and issues to us. And then we have to have everything done in the portal by 8/22.
Okay.
So, 8/15 next Monday. I think we need to certify it.
Certify the local elections.
Can you certify part and not all?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Well, I think we need to certify the whole thing. We're off 1 vote. Like that's not gonna change the national or state, either way. But I don't think it's fair to the candidates that are sitting there wondering what's going on. I've been on that side of the table, I know what it's like. It's like Harlan come in there, he's nervous, he wanting to know, Harvey's wanting to know. I mean, in all fairness, I think, and that came out exactly right on the money on the count. So I think they are entitled to know
No,
what
I
the
get it.
count is Tuesday.
But we still need to look at the anomalies on the state and the federal.
Yes, and that doesn't mean we can't keep looking and try to figure out what the problem is.
Well, I'm sure that'll go on for months, I mean, in a lot of counties, so.
Yeah, but I still think, we need to certify the election so our local people know what's going on. If there'd been count would've been off one at that local election level, then we'd never find out, because that can make, as you know, that can be down to win or lose.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was within 1 vote, and the count came out exactly right, so
Okay.
I think, that's my opinion.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I think I would like a chance to study and understand the rules, because there's lots of parameters to it. But can an election be uncertified once it's been certified?
I do not know.
I believe,
I don't think so.
well, I believe it can, because there are states, you know, from the 2020 election, there are states discussing decertifying. So I think that might be a possibility.
Okay, well, we can check on it and let you know next week if we can or can't.
But it would help, you know, it would help answer the question that you're discussing right now, if that's the case.
But the local
So-
election was spot on when you did the count.
The county commission's race
Was spot on.
matched the count from the machine, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So we believe that one is accurate.
Will you believe where it was? I mean, you've seen it. I'm just,
Yes.
so it
we-
was accurate.
Right, we counted,
And everything was accurate.
it matched,
Okay.
yes.
Well, that's my feeling. I think we need to certify it so we can move forward with that.
We can get the ballots tomorrow or canvassing tomorrow, and then go ahead and certify the local elections.
Yep, because
And if we need to certify the national or the state, it will be mostly state elections. We can certify that with the option of decertifying if that comes necessary.
well, we'll find out if that's legal.
Yeah.
We don't know at this time if it is or not, but.
You have any opinions on that, Brett? Just check into some stuff.
I need to look into, to Roberta's point, I would assume that there is a process to decertify an election, simply because there are processes in place to contest an election.
Yeah.
So I would assume, without looking, that there is a process to do that, but I can't say for certain.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Ashley, you have anything else?
Minutes.
I have one item. When we talked last week about, or last meeting about the liability insurance, or even if it was a wedding or anything, I talked to Eklund Insurance and to the insurance agency. And they said that there's really not a whole lot of price difference between a $500,000 liability policy and $1 million liability policy. Eklund said they will not write a $500,000 one. $500,000, you know, doesn't really cover that much anymore. So but there's very little discrepancy in it, and I think there was a question about a wedding being held out at the fairgrounds.
Right.
So I think, you know,
So before we were requesting 500,000, but now, do you think?
now we can put it up to the million, and
Okay.
which, you know, from what I understand, there's very little dollar value difference between the two.
Okay,
But I think it would be wise for the county to up the policy because, like I said, $500,000 doesn't go very far anymore as far as when you start into a liability suit.
so we'll need to rewrite that form.
Yeah.
Change it to $1 million.
So I think.
Get a quote, get
Well, we
the
need,
official quote.
well, we need to do a resolution or a motion for that, Ashley, to rewrite the lease agreement for the fairgrounds.
You can just do a motion.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to increase from $500,000 to $1 million to liability for rental of the fairground.
Did they send us a quote? Do we have a written?
No, it's for
Yeah,
the,
it's-
whoever's renting it,
Oh,
they pay for that.
them to- Gotcha.
I'll
Okay.
move, also move.
Got it.
And moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
There was a circus or something. Okay, that guy never got back with me.
Okay.
The Magic Circus, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never heard anything, so.
Brett, you got anything for us this morning? Okay.
Anything else?
Minutes.
Minutes.
I see no
I
problem
did not
with the
see any
minutes.
problems.
I read the minutes. Also, I'll move that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and we approve the minutes as written. All those, there's discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Well, just so tomorrow morning we meet here at 8 o'clock
8 o'clock
o'clock.
for,
for the provisional
Canvass,
ballots.
yes.
Canvassing ballots. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so you moved, I'll second.
all the, moved and seconded, all, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Meeting's adjourned.